Hi there, my name is Rossie Stone and I am doing this video on behalf of the Dyslexia Scotland Stay at Home series in order to help with the current time that we're in. And this is a video that is to help tutors who help specifically with dyslexia, and also tutors who just help with teaching information in general and presenting information. I'm the creator and founder of Dekko Comics, and we are all about taking information, be it school information or any other kind, and turning it into entertainment primarily, but more importantly for the purpose of education, giving more than words to it, turning it into something that communicates the information in more than just words. And why we do that is because when you use more than just words, the information reaches a much wider audience. Say you're giving a lecture and you're wanting everyone to absorb that information just as well as each other. If you're just doing that with words and a few PowerPoint slides with nothing but words on them, or primarily words on them, then you're entirely relying on your audience's ability to read, write and listen well in order to take in all that info. Now, of course, if you know about dyslexia and other forms of reluctant reading, then you'll know that doesn't work for everyone. Not everyone learns in the same way, not everyone is quite as good at listening and taking in all the information at the same time. I myself have dyslexia, and I know from first-hand experience it is very difficult to pay attention to something that is a lot of wordy information coming to you at once. It's very difficult to pay attention to that and absorb all that information as you go. And it's the same when it comes to reading as well. But often when it comes to something like a film or a piece of music or something that just gives us words but more than words, it's a lot easier to follow. So I'm going to give you a few tips on using more than words to help you with whatever you teach and however you are teaching. So this is a program that I actually teach to colleges and schools and other institutions out with the country, and if you ever want me to come to your institution, by all means you can let me know or let Dyslexia Scotland know, and I'll be very happy to arrange that for either digitally or for when the lockdown stops. The first tip of using more than words is visuals, and what I mean by that is not just having a picture to go with the words, but how is that picture communicating the information? Can you use a picture that communicates just as much information as the words you're using? Another tip I'm going to give you is storytelling. How can you use storytelling and narrative? When we watch a film or when we're told a story at a cafe or a bar, it's so much easier to remember it if it's an interesting story and if it has a beginning, middle and end. Story and narrative gives you a natural structure to place your information in and gives people a reason to care and stay interested in if you load that story full of the information you're wanting to teach. You know, it's why analogies are so popular, and so on and so forth. Metaphors as well. My third tip I want to give you is layout. How are you laying the information out? Is it primarily words or is it in big blocks of text? I mean, visuals and storytelling will fall down if it's not laid out clearly enough. So are you using shapes or colors at all? These things are often very useful for when we're revising for a test, so why not use them in your presentation? Or why not encourage your student to use them more? Mind maps are an example, but there's so much more you can do with it. It's all about just breaking down the information into more digestible chunks. And when we're doing a comic, the comic format naturally has a very useful layout by making all the information concise in the boxes and speech bubbles. Now the fourth tip I want to give you is entertainment or fun, in another word. You know, how can you make this fun? How can you make this enjoyable? If you can create a fun activity or add an extra interesting element in this, I mean, learning an interesting fact is fun in itself. How can you make that more fun and more interesting? The more you can do that and create a positive experience with the actual act of the learning, the more the resistance barriers will go down and the more the effort will naturally come up. And it's so much easier to engage with something, even if you find it difficult, if you're enjoying it. So with Dekko, we take an approach of fun before education, not to undermine the education, but to make sure that as soon as we start the education, we're already having a good time. And the fifth tip I would like to give you, and in many ways it's the most important, but I find it most effective to teach at last, is relatability. How can you use relatability to help you with your lesson? It is so much easier to get interested in something and to understand something if we can already relate to it. So if you're teaching a particular topic, maybe it's to do with maths, or maybe it's to do with history or something. How can you make that relatable? You know, can you relate it to everyday events, or relate it to something that's happening in the news? You know, you see these memes going around the internet all the time, like that moment when you so-and-so, or that time when you woke up that morning. And you know, the media is always putting out all these relatable factors to get people to click on their articles and get them reading. So as soon as you can make something relatable, relate it to something that your student will be interested in, or that your student will understand, even if it's just relating it to something in the room, you're already going to make your lesson a lot more powerful. So those are my 5 tips to help you with the way you construct or communicate a lesson. By all means, you don't need to use all 5 of them. You can try one at a time and see how it works for you. But you'll often find that not only will your students start to find the lesson a lot more fun and engaging this way, you might start to enjoy it as well in ways you haven't enjoyed it before. So I hope they're useful to you. Give them a try, see what you make of them, and if you're interested in more of this, or me coming to do one of these sessions at an institution you're part of, by all means get in touch with us at info@dekkocomics.com and we'll sort you out from there. Have a great day and good luck during lockdown.